You are losing your wealth every single day by leaving it in a savings account.
Because the banks are actively weaponizing your fear to build their empires while your purchasing power shrinks.
Algorithmic systems are watching, and the biggest wealth transfer in human history has already started. Welcome to AI Market Mint.
Turn AI into income. Turn knowledge into freedom.
Listen, I hear the exact same script every single day from smart, really hardworking people. They look me in the eye and proudly state they're putting away 20% of their paycheck into savings.
Right.
They operate under this assumption that, following a financial roadmap from 3 decades ago is going to offer them some sort of impenetrable protection today.
Which is fascinating because that is the precise script engineered to keep the middle class completely paralyzed in 2026.
Yeah.
I mean, the fundamental mechanics of wealth creation were rewritten over the last few years, but there was no public announcement.
Exactly. No press release.
Right, so people still look at their banking apps, they see those static green numbers, and assume cash is a reliable shield against market chaos.
But I have to push back on that immediately, though. To the average worker, leaving money in a 4.5% high-yield account feels incredibly responsible.
Oh, absolutely.
It feels like safety. So how can you argue that a guaranteed yield is actually a systemic trap?
Because you have to separate the digits on the screen from the actual power behind them. The digits remain untouched, sure, but the utility of those digits is literally dissolving while you sleep.
Right.
The whole financial architecture relies on you believing in that false security.
Look, let's ground this in a real example so people see how the mechanics actually work. Think about someone like, let's say, Marcus.
Okay.
He is a 6-figure earner, highly disciplined, skips the expensive dinners out. He packs his lunch.
The classic saver.
Exactly. He funnels everything into a high-yield savings account, paying that 4% we just mentioned. I mean, he feels like he is winning the game.
And under a 20th century framework, he would be. But Marcus is participating in a system with altered physics now.
Yeah.
He is putting all of his energy into a static container while the economic environment around him is expanding exponentially.
If we look at the actual physics of his strategy, it's purely defensive. Marcus is running on a treadmill, right?
Right.
He's putting in the sweat equity to increase his running speed by 4% a year through that yield. But the treadmill's baseline speed is accelerating by 5 or 6% annually.
Precisely.
No matter how disciplined his running form is, the mechanical reality dictates he will eventually just mathematically fall off the back of the machine.
A fence is an absolute requirement now. You cannot defend your way to financial autonomy when algorithmic trading and automated inflation are constantly moving the goalposts.
No, you can't.
We're in an environment where capital moves at the speed of computation. Static money isn't secure money, it is decaying money.
And the truly frustrating part for me is that the institutions holding Marcus's money are actively using his own capital against him.
Oh, 100%.
They take his deposits, pay him a microscopic yield, and deploy that exact capital into assets, generating massive returns. He is literally the battery powering their growth.
And if we look historically, the formula used to actually favor the saver. Like in the 1980s, double-digit yields on savings were common.
Right, you could just sit on it.
Exactly. Your money could legitimately compound in a vault. The entire financial infrastructure was slower. Information took time to travel. Trades took time to execute. So the system rewarded static capital because liquidity was harder to source.
But the architecture shifted. I mean, fiat currency is fundamentally designed to expand.
Yes.
When the supply of money increases, the purchasing power of your static savings naturally dilutes. That is just basic arithmetic.
But what changes everything today is the AI disruption layer. AI took this slow dilution and turned it into an ultra-efficient extraction mechanism.
Because it's not humans anymore.
Exactly. Institutional investors aren't humans reading delayed quarterly reports. They are massive neural networks processing billions of global data points per millisecond.
Which means they can predict supply chain bottlenecks or consumer sentiment shifts instantly.
Instantly.
Because AI can analyze, millions of shipping manifests and localized weather patterns in real time, institutions can buy up commodities before a shortage ever hits the news.
Right.
By the time a human retail investor decides to react and move their savings, the institutional AI has already priced the event in. The margin is completely gone.
You are permanently relegated to reacting. And in modern finance, if you are reacting, you are the yield for someone else.
Wow. Yeah.
You become the liquidity pool that the algorithms exit into. But the overarching system desperately needs you to keep saving Banks rely entirely on a massive global reservoir of cheap, dormant capital to leverage their own operations. They need that velocity of money.
Wait, velocity of money sounds technical. What does that actually mean for a normal person?
Simple. It just means how fast a single dollar moves through the economy to create more wealth. Imagine it like water flowing through a turbine. If it sits in a pond, it does nothing. If it flows, it generates power.
Right, so the standard savings account is the stagnant pond. The institution drains your pond, runs it through their highly optimized turbine, and keeps the electricity.
Exactly.
Then they throw you a fraction of a volt at the end of the year.
And it works flawlessly because human beings crave certainty above all else. We will happily pay for the illusion of stability, even if it guarantees our slow decline.
Yeah.
AI has simply accelerated this extraction. These algorithmic systems analyze macroeconomic trends and quietly siphon value from the currency. The central systems know precisely how much they can devalue the dollar without triggering mass panic.
It is a perfectly calibrated bleed. People log in, they see $10,000 today, and they see $10,000 tomorrow.
Which creates a powerful nominal illusion.
Wait, Lily, nominal illusion sounds technical. What does that actually mean for a normal person?
Simple. It just means confusing the face value of money with its actual value. Imagine it like a ruler that shrinks every year. You still think you have 12 inches, but you can only measure 10.
The ruler is physically shrinking in your hands, but your brain refuses to process it because the markings still say 12.
Exactly.
If your $10,000 buys a decent car today, but only covers half of that exact same car in 5 years, your wealth evaporated. The static number on the screen is feeding your brain dopamine while your actual purchasing power is collapsing.
And if the math is that obviously destructive, we have to ask why highly intelligent people willingly participate.
Right.
The answer is deeply biological: loss aversion. Humans are wired to feel the pain of losing money twice as intensely as the satisfaction of gaining it.
Because putting capital into the market or deploying it into a productive asset carries a real probability of short-term drops.
Yes, and that potential drop triggers a visceral survival-level alarm in the human brain. The brain screams at you to seek the safety of the cave. It demands the cash buffer.
Consider someone like David. Let's say he is 35, working as a logistics manager.
Okay, good example.
He watched global markets swing wildly over the last few years. He saw people make fortunes and lose them overnight in crypto, right?
Right.
So he decided he wanted absolutely zero exposure to that volatility. He aggressively hoarded a $100,000 emergency fund in pure cash.
He thought he outsmarted the chaos by refusing to play. He prioritized his peace of mind. But he didn't realize the rules of his industry were being rewritten while he was sitting on the sidelines.
Exactly. Because AI started systematically automating the logistics sector.
Right. Predictive routing algorithms and warehouse robotics drastically reduced the need for middle management cognitive labor.
Yeah.
The corporations became vastly more efficient and their profits soared, but David's salary flatlined. His income was tethered to human limitations in a newly algorithmic world.
And meanwhile, the assets around him didn't stagnate. Housing prices in his area jumped 30%.
And this wasn't just organic human demand either.
No, it was driven by algorithmic real estate acquisitions. Private equity bots ingested municipal zoning data, building permit trends, localized school district search volumes, all to identify undervalued neighborhoods.
Milliseconds.
They bid cash over asking in milliseconds, sweeping up the supply before a human real estate agent even got the listing.
So when David finally decided to buy a home with his massive, pristine pile of cash, the reality hit him.
Yeah.
His $100,000 wasn't a 20% down payment anymore. It was barely 10%. His perfect safety net had shrunk drastically, not because he spent a single dime, but because the global economy accelerated exponentially while he stood perfectly still.
Financial institutions ruthlessly exploit this psychological blind spot. They keep your attention entirely focused on the interest rate they're paying you, intentionally masking the real rate of return.
Exactly.
Let's strip the emotion out of this. Let's look strictly at the mechanical reality of how capital gets destroyed.
Let's run the actual math on David's situation. Imagine holding that $100,000 in cash right now, locked in a high-yield account at 4.5%.
Okay.
On paper, you are generating $4,500 a year. It feels productive.
But the mechanism of extraction begins immediately. First, the government taxes that interest as ordinary income.
Right.
Assuming a standard 24% bracket, they take a little over $1,000 right off the top. your $4,500 drops to $3,420. Your actual yield is now roughly 3.4%.
Now we factor in real inflation. Forget the smoothed out consumer price index numbers designed to project stability.
Yeah, the real numbers.
Look at the daily expenditures that dictate your quality of life: housing, groceries, energy, insurance. Real inflation on those core items consistently hovers around 6%.
So you are gaining 3.4% after taxes, but your purchasing power is dropping by 6%.
Exactly.
You are operating at a net negative yield of 2.6%. You are literally paying the financial system $2,600 a year in lost purchasing power just for the privilege of holding your own money.
And that is only the surface level bleed. The true wealth destroyer is opportunity cost.
Yes.
What could that $100,000 have accomplished if it wasn't chained to a depreciating asset?
I mean, if that exact capital was deployed into an asset class directly benefiting from AI efficiency like tech infrastructure, energy grids powering data centers, or broad algorithmic index funds, the outcome is radically different.
Completely different.
A conservative blended portfolio in these sectors easily yields 10%.
And that 10% compounds. Your 100,000 becomes 110, then 121. The capital accelerates organically.
Right.
Meanwhile, your static savings account crawls from 100 to 103 before real-world inflation consumes the meager gains. Over a 5-year horizon, the gap between the static saver and the active allocator becomes completely unbridgeable.
Because holding cash is effectively taking a massive short position against human progress.
Wait, Lily, short position sounds technical. What does that actually mean for a normal person?
Oh, well,
By holding cash, you're taking a short position against the market.
wait, Lily, short position sounds technical. What does that actually mean for a normal person?
Simple. It just means betting that something will lose value. Imagine it like betting against a racehorse. If the horse wins, you lose your money.
Right, so when you hold the majority of your wealth in cash, you are effectively betting against human progress.
Yes.
You are betting that innovation will halt.
Yes.
You are betting that companies won't figure out how to make their processes faster and more profitable using AI. It is a mathematically guaranteed failure because the productivity curve is going vertical.
The wealthy understand that cash is not a destination. It is temporary ammunition.
Exactly.
Ammunition.
It exists solely to be deployed into systems that produce reliable cash flow or appreciate in value. Hoarding it in a bank is like hoarding ammunition in a bunker while the battle is raging outside.
Yeah.
The algorithms are actively hunting for that dormant capital, using localized inflation and shifting interest rates to squeeze the value out of it.
$1 saved today buys 90 cents of value next year. The entire macroeconomic system is engineered to punish inactivity.
It really is.
We are standing at a massive divergence point right now. The gap between those who adapt and those who cling to old strategies has never widened this fast.
Let's project the traditional defensive path 10 years into the future. It is 2036. The aggressive saver has accumulated a massive pile of nominal dollars.
Okay.
They have $1 million in cash. They feel financially secure on paper.
But a basic starter home costs $2 million. A standard medical procedure costs $100,000. Their $1 million buys exactly what $200,000 used to buy.
Right.
They are trapped in a labor market where AI models have absorbed all cognitive routine work. Wages for traditional jobs have either violently deflated or stagnated entirely. They are squeezed from both sides of the equation. They are earning less in real terms, and their static savings possess a fraction of their former utility.
Yeah.
Retirement becomes a mathematical impossibility. This breeds massive societal resentment because they played by the rules they were taught, and they still completely lost.
Exactly.
They were playing checkers while the algorithmic market was playing three-dimensional chess.
Now contrast that with the path of AI leverage. This is the active participant who recognized the invisible inflation trap back in 2026.
The one who adapted.
Right. They stopped hoarding cash. They bought equities in the infrastructure layer of AI. They acquired scarce assets that cannot be replicated or printed by a central bank.
They utilized AI tools to exponentially increase their own output, taking that excess cash flow and converting it into hard ownership.
Yes.
Fast forward to 2036, and they possess a portfolio of robust systems. When inflation inevitably spikes, the nominal value of their hard assets spikes with it. When corporate productivity jumps due to AI, their equity values jump. Their wealth is firmly tethered to algorithmic efficiency.
Now look, I know exactly what people think when they hear this comparison. They assume the second path requires millions of dollars in upfront capital.
Right. They think it's just for the elite.
They think they are locked out of the institutional game. But you don't need millions to start. You need velocity. $1,000 deployed correctly today is worth infinitely more than $10,000 slowly saved out of fear over the next decade.
The major divide in society isn't between the rich and the poor anymore. It is strictly between the deployed and the dormant.
I completely agree.
The dormant will be systematically consumed by algorithmic pricing models. The deployed will ride the wave of exponential growth. You have to step directly into the volatility and learn how to allocate, or the system will inevitably drown you.
So how do we actually execute this pivot? Moving from defensive saving to offensive allocation requires a complete, non-negotiable mindset shift.
It does.
You have to fire your savings account. Treat it like a failing employee who actively steals from the register every year and then demands a performance bonus.
You still require a shock absorber, obviously. Let's be highly practical here. You need 3 to 6 months of vital expenses kept completely liquid.
Sure.
It needs to be instantly accessible to handle life's friction. But you must stop viewing that buffer as wealth. It is purely operational runway.
Exactly.
Every single dollar beyond that specific buffer needs a highly targeted job description.
If a dollar is sitting on your balance sheet without a designated task to generate yield or acquire equity, it's a failure of your personal capital management.
Right.
But execution is where most people stumble.
Right.
You cannot build an offensive deployment strategy if your fundamental supply lines are compromised.
And people are bleeding hundreds of dollars a month in shadow subscriptions and forgotten fees.
Oh, everywhere.
Corporations use advanced AI to quietly auto-renew and incrementally increase your monthly charges. They are heavily leveraging predictive algorithms against your limited attention span. You have to ruthlessly audit your cash flow.
But doing manual audits is a disaster. They take hours, you get exhausted navigating credit card statements, and you inevitably miss the hidden charges.
You can't do by hand.
You have to fight fire with fire. You use technology to counter corporate extraction.
This is why we integrate tools specifically designed to reclaim capital. We use Rocket Money to act as the ultimate gatekeeper for our operational runway.
Yes.
It connects directly to your accounts and uses its own algorithms to flag recurring charges. It gives you complete visibility into exactly where you are bleeding capital.
The visibility is great, but the execution is why it actually matters. You cancel those phantom subscriptions with a single tap inside the app.
Boom, done.
You bypass the customer service maze entirely. The app severs the connection for you. It even automatically negotiates your internet and phone bills down. It weaponizes efficiency in your behalf.
And listen, that reclaimed capital becomes your immediate offensive ammunition.
Exactly.
Reclaiming $200 a month translates to $2,400 a year in new deployment capital. It transforms dead weight into immediate velocity.
We've put the official verified links in the pinned comment below. Don't go searching randomly and get scammed. Use the ones we've checked.
Absolutely.
The transition from a dormant saver to an active investor requires intense discipline. But discipline without data is just blind effort.
Get the data, stop the bleeding, build the shock absorber, and deploy absolutely everything else into the systems that are building tomorrow.
Right.
The AI economy is moving at light speed. Neutrality simply does not exist.
Every day, your money sits static. Someone else is turning the dial and accelerating the treadmill. You are either allocating capital into the infrastructure to the future, or you are directly funding it with your own depreciating savings.
Exactly.
Don't let the future leave you behind. Start earning.